Okay, so because we've just done a quite an intense meditation, I thought we would like speak a little bit more about meditation. You know how I've spoken to you as well about manas mind and buddhi mind. That's something that's quite relevant, that's spoken about in the Bhagavad Gita as well. So let's see how it works with meditation. So let's speak about the mechanics of our mind. Remembering, meditation addresses our relationship to the future. So the mind in modern times has taken on almost a villainous persona. It's seen as something negative or unhelpful. So it's something to be shunned and evolved beyond. But this is not the view held by yoga and tantra. So both view the mind as venerable and resplendent, and not simply something that imprisons you. The mind can become a prison, but that is not its nature or intended function. So any imprisonment that occurs is a byproduct of lack of awareness and how to use the mind as a means to master life, which is what it's for. So therefore, it's important that if we're going to work with the mind both to overcome its limitations and also as a gateway to access the source, that we have a thorough understanding of what the mind is and how exactly it functions. So perhaps the most helpful map for our purposes comes to us from Vedanta, where the mind is referred to as antakarana, or the inner instrument. Patanjali speaks about the mind in a much more general way, for example, terming all mental fluctuations as chitta, whereas in Vedanta, the turnings of the mind are split into 4 distinct categories. So antakarana, the inner instrument. So this is the 4 parts of the mind. And I remember years ago with my teacher, Rod Stryker, taught me this when I studied Tantra Shakti with him. And I remember being blown away, and that was what gave me the understanding of buddhi mind and manas mind, as opposed to, my 200 hours training, which was a really good training, but it was coming from more the Patanjali's side of things. As you see, it's like it's kind of simplified so much it's not taken any further. If you've got a real interest in wanting to dig deeper, find out as much as you can, so then you can make your own, ideas or form your own opinions or thoughts and feelings about it, then this is really helpful. So let's start with manas mind. Manas, this is a reactive mind. So this section of the mind governs the 5 senses, which work as your 5 antennae for drawing in information. So manas also comprises your ability to recognize what you're sensing at any given moment. Its primary role is to keep you safe. So therefore it's very reactive. So think about swerving around a dog that's just ran onto the road. This immediate response to stimuli belongs to the functioning of manas. So it's not bad. Everyone goes, oh, that's a bad one. But we need it to survive. I said before, it's like the kind of caveman mind. We needed to know whether things were good or bad suddenly. If a saber-toothed tiger comes into our cave. But we don't tend to have that nowadays. So let's look at chitta. So chitta is the storehouse of memory. Vedanta uses this term differently to Patanjali. So here it refers to the grand storehouse of all your experiences, both positive and negative. Its role is to orient you within any given moment based on a comparison between the current experience and past events. So many of your memories are subconscious. You're not aware of them. However, they show up as the patterns that you repeat. So in other words, the past makes impression on the present and causes you to behave in a certain way. So then we have ahamkara, and I've spoken about that to you. As you know, this is your sense of I amness. This part of the mind is responsible for you having the experience of I am, I feel, or I see, etc. This is a kind of possession or self-absorption that causes a separation between you and the larger world, limiting your capacity to sense the environment around you. For example, a child engrossed in playing runs out onto the road, not having an awareness that it could be dangerous. Ahamkara does have great value as it relates to mahad. So remember, mahad is the Purusha, Prakriti. Mahad is the idea. This is before we're born. This is who we really are, and then we drop into ahamkara. Okay, each person requires a unique personality in order to move into the world in a dynamic and effective way and achieve what they've set out to achieve at the dharmic level. So the balancing point here is that this never must cause separation from the collective, which it will do if ahamkara is not being guided by purusha. So this part of the mind is also responsible for taking in impressions from the outside world, your culture and your life experiences, using them to shape self-perception and then employing strategies to protect the sense of identity, even if the identity is not healthy. So based on a desire to maintain this false self, choices are made either consciously or subconsciously to reaffirm its validity. Perhaps you remember a time when you made a choice that you knew was not helpful to you, but for some reason you made it anyway. This was your ahamkara taking control. So from studying the teen brain, you know, I teach teen yoga, and the teen brain is different to adult brain because it's still forming, and it's been scientifically proven that if teenagers are given, they're told that they're given options of decisions to make, and even if they're aware that some of the options are bad, some of them will take them anyway. That's their ahamkara, and teenagers are really stuck in their sense of I amness. You know, they go try to change their style, they try and separate them. That's when the teenage girls are horrible with their moms, because they're trying to separate from their mothers and form their strong sense of self. So ahamkara is a really strong one, a strong part. It's almost like a driving force with teens, you know. So we have to, before we make any decision or choices in our lives, you know, when we sit in the eye of the storm, think, where is this decision based on? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from, so we're coming into buddhi in a minute. Are we coming from manas mind, or reactive mind, or caveman mind? Are we coming from chitta, which is our social conditioning, basically? Is it coming from ahamkara, our sense of I amness, our kind of egoistic way? Or is it buddhi mind? And buddhi mind, this is the great decider. So this is where you should try and make decisions from. You should try and access buddhi mind and be aware of that. Okay, so Patanjali spends a generous amount of time on this part of the mind, honoring it as the most extraordinary aspect of the mind. So buddhi takes in all the information from all the other three sections of the mind and makes the final decision on what to do, for better or worse. It is your buddhi that decides whether you get up and meditate. It is your buddhi that decides whether you propose to your partner. Buddhi is the part of the mind that executes free will, and when developed, it gives you the power to both discern and act in a way that breaks you free of patterns and conditionings. If buddhi is weak, it's unlikely you will know what you truly need, or you're going to have the mental power to initiate the new higher choice. So there's three ways that the buddhi can make a decision. So they're instant gratification based on ego and conditioning, delayed gratification based on the understanding that if I sacrifice something now, then perhaps I will be repaid even more later. So this is a more conscious decision. However, it's still self-serving. Social and cultural agreements fall into this category. In service of dharma, no matter what the consequences. So from the perspective of yoga, the invitation is move away from the serving what is most comfortable and begin acting from a place that is imbued with the light of consciousness. So buddhi is this place. Buddhi is in the closest proximity to purusha, and therefore should rule all over all other parts of the mind. The extent to which you can live from a sharpened and strengthened body is the determining factor over the quality of your inner and outer worlds. Okay, so Chitta is the storehouse of memories. Buddhi is your intellect, your power to discern. Ahamkara is your self-identity. And Manas is your lower and reactive mind. So you should always try and make decisions based from, coming from Bodhi. So this is where you should sit in that eye of the storm. And in Bhagavad Gita, they call this, they say yoga is skill in action. And skill in action is, sometimes doesn't actually have to be an action in a sense. It's about when something happens, you sit in the eye of the storm and you choose not to react, and you figure out whether you're going to even act at all. Do you need to act? Or is this person, if something happens, somebody says something, they might be saying something to try and trigger you because they're projecting something on you. Do you need to actually answer or, retaliate? Or do you need to set healthy boundaries and say, no, that's just not right? Or do you need to walk away, or do you need to stand firm, or if it's an external circumstances, like something could be happening in a crisis, obviously you're not going to be standing there for ages figuring out what to do. Obviously this is where Manas mind kicks in because it's reactive. We need it for a sense of survival, and you do need self-identity to make mistakes sometimes, to learn. You learn your lessons through all different karma or dharmas to complete. So if life was really smooth and we were constantly making wise decisions, then we wouldn't be learning. We learn from our mistakes, really. So the highest manifestation of Bodhi is called Viveka Kayati, meaning unshakable discernment. You achieve and establish yourself in this state through abhyasa, the ongoing, committed, regular and reverential practice of yoga and meditation. So each time your mind wanders during meditation, it is your Bodhi that notices this, and also your Bodhi that grabs your attention and anchors it back to your meditation object. So the gift of a committed practice is that it calms manas, so you've got less reactivity. And I will completely agree with that, because I am a sensitive person, and I am an emotional person, and I used to, I'm not an angry person, but I used to take things really to heart, like feel really, and the more I practice yoga, I don't take things personally anymore. It's not all about me. It's not my stuff. That's coming from you're taming your manas mind, and also that's like you're also taming the ahamkara side of things as well, because it's not all about you in a sense. Sometimes something that happens is actually not about you at all. So it allows you to be able to sit with situations and accept them, or do something about them, instead of feeling that you're taken by the waves. It just teaches you to surf them. So it neutralizes chitta, so weakens the influence from past experiences. So sometimes if you have been brought up to believe that you're not worthy, if you've got parents that have brought you up with that sense, it's like it allows you to release. It's called a vikalpa. This is a belief that's really inside you. You have sankalpas where you can do positive affirmations to really try and your sankalpa is less likely to come true or manifest if you haven't realized what your vikalpas are. And this is beliefs from your social condition that's within you. Vikalpas are actually more strongly embedded than sankalpas. So by practicing meditation and yoga, you can neutralize these things and see them for what they are, and realize that is not a fact. It's an opinion that you have formed subliminally without realizing through your past experiences. So it starts to neutralize, and you start to realize, I am enough. So it's, it's not, it's about just knowing that you are enough. That helps to neutralize chitta as well. So dissolving the lower aspect of ahamkara so that your dharmic personality can shine. So we were all put on this earth to learn something, to grow and to share the unique aspects of ourselves. So if we dissolve that lower aspect of I amness, that where we think we're separate and everyone's against us or anything like that, we feel more connectedness, and what do we want to share, not what do we want to stay away from. If we look at the more positive aspects of the connectedness, but still being unique, that's what that is, yeah. And then it also sharpens and strengthens bodhi. So it means that you'll be able to make these wise choices, perform your dharma well, and remember I've spoken about the Dharma code. So a way for me, for making wise decisions, I look at the situation and think, before I make that decision, I think of ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truth, saucha, purity, and tapas, the burning spiritual ardor, or the passion, or the getting it done and actually doing something about it. So over time, so bodhi becomes very sharp, resilient, and reliable, and it also becomes more clear and transparent, resulting in luminous rays of purusha shining through and into it. So in other words, a vision of your true self penetrates and permeates all aspects of the mind, healing, refining, and strengthening the entire instrument, which is our mind, so that it can be used for its intended dharmic purpose. So today's meditation was on self-healing, and we really were trying to heal aspects of ourselves. So part of that is our subconscious, the subconscious parts of us that we don't even sometimes realize needs healed. So they can sometimes come to the surface and be transmuted also in some of these deep meditations. So Vedanta states that the dividing line between bodhi and purusha is not a solid line, but it's permeable. So because of this, bodhi is where chit shakti, or the power of consciousness, can infuse the mind and transform it. So this is the purpose of meditation, and why simply practicing asana is not enough to transform your life. So through meditation, the other three aspects of the mind are subdued or quietened. Then firstly, as the mind settles into meditation, reactivity lessens, and as you go deeper, memories and thoughts fall into the background, and finally your sense of self-identity dissolves, and you start to lose touch with who you thought you were. What remains is the bodhi, pointing towards purusha, that part of you that is always at rest, forever luminous, the essence of true self-knowledge, and the power to know all. So furthermore, your purusha is constantly aligned to your dharma, your own personal blueprint for self-excellence. So the more you meditate, the more bodhi becomes infused with unlimited power, knowledge, and sacredness of purusha. And this becomes that which orients you in the world and informs all of your decision-making processes and ideas around self-identity. Bodhi infused with purusha gives you two sublime gifts, both the ability to see yourself in life clearly, but also the courage and capacity to bring your highest vision into manifestation. As I said, so if you've got all these vikalpas, these subconscious beliefs that you don't even know you have within you, and you can't manifest properly because you believe that there is these blockages. So by meditating, you can clear them. Okay, so committed daily practice, meditation practice is no longer negotiable. Yeah, so It's not about just doing a couple of sun salutations every day. It's about really putting in the work with your meditation. So we did a little bit of tantric meditation today. I'm going to speak a little bit about that. It's not a huge, big part of the 200-hour, but I think it's really interesting, and I think if you want to take it further, then it's really helpful. So meditation paths focus on making the mind still so that we can see what's beyond it. So in other words, developing witness conscious. So although the tantric yogis saw the benefit of this approach and utilized it, the primary emphasis with it was entirely different. So instead of stilling the mind, they understood that the mind likes to move and be seduced by the next most interesting thing. So as such, their strategy was to give it progressively more potent and increasingly more positively charged things to follow and ultimately become absorbed by. So the reason for this is that they also understood that the mind becomes more like whatever it associates with and will ultimately be transformed by it. So in doing so, the yogis were able to move beyond a superficial kind of mental stillness and instead touch in on the power and wonder accessed in the depths of stillness. So in other words, touch the infinite directly and begin to embody it more and more. So Tantra forms of meditation are often called kriyas, and they work with the themes of yantra and mantra. So today we were working with a Tantra meditation. The self-healing meditation was a self-healing kriya. So yantra means vehicle of evolution. Yan means machine, and tra means that which that moves us beyond our limits. Yantra on the periphery can be seen as mandalas or geometric designs. Yet the deeper truth is that yantras are machines or vehicles that move us forward and they allow us to excel. And yantra yoga has many branches. Yantra can be both external or internal, and this is because the entire world is created and supported by vibrating energy of mantra. Remember, we spoke about that the other day. These waveforms create patterns that can be seen and heard in deep states of meditation. Every person, based on their specific energetic configuration, is themselves a unique energy pattern or yantra. Likewise, every person is their own song. Yoga is a system that allows us to hear our soul song, our dharmic call. And this idea is the suggestion brought forward in the Bhagavad Gita, or Song of the Blessed One. Who's the Blessed One? We are, our sacred inner self. So we're going to explore our own personal yantra based on a higher form of yogic mathematics. But for now, let's look at yantra as it relates to tantric meditation. So the inner yantra, the tantric yogis saw the body itself as a yantra. This idea we can also see is hinted in Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. So the body is made up of many points. In yoga, they're called pithams, that when connected through energy pathways, create a mandala within the subtle body, allowing the life force to flow through the system and charge it. So within the collective yantra of the body, they also saw specific independent patterns converging along the spine and in other energy pooling points. So some of this information we find in the science of the chakras and in marma points in the therapy of Ayurveda. So these smaller yantras connect us to different states of vibration and mood. So the yogis found that positive states empowered and enlivened these patterns, while negative states of mind and low energy levels created fragmented, distorted, and dull patterns. So realizing this, the yogis sought to move their attention in specific ways, kriya meditations, not only to recreate these ideal inner patterns, but to stabilize them, and in doing so, alter their state of consciousness. So Tantra, unlike other paths, do not believe that witnessing alone is enough to resolve our stuff. and transform inner darkness to light. So at a certain point, we must move beyond witnessing and start to activate and positively reinforce the inner yantra with the powerful intentions from our aligned mind and hearts, stemming from a deep desire to spiritually evolve and serve the divine and the greater good. So Kriya meditation, we've practiced quite a few recently, is a way of accelerating our growth and accessing the most sacred aspect of our being. So let's look at yantra and mantra. So the tradition states that mantra practice on its own has relatively little potency. For its fullest potential to be activated, mantra must be placed in the field of an awakened yantra. So in other words, Kriya meditation creates the most fertile soil for the fullest potential of the mantra to flourish and reveal itself in its true essence. So in short, Tantra is a mantra yoga practice. So we use Kriya meditation to create the ideal pranic landscape within the body. And within that activated, enlivened field, we then place mantra. In doing so, we explode its inner capacity into the far reaches of our minds, expanding our consciousness and illuminating our lives. So rather than thinking about visualizing things in meditation, what we really want to be doing is increasing our sensitivity to prana and developing our ability to sense, see, or feel the reality that's already existing. And this way it takes the doing out of it and it becomes more of a receptive process. Again, the key is developing a sensitivity to prana. I think over the past couple of weeks working with me, I think you've maybe start to realize that I've got a thing that I really want you to feel, come out of your head and into your body and really feel the prana within your body. So the primary practice for this is called prana dharana. So prana dharana sounds like an 80s band, but it's not. Prana is about really trying to harness the prana and work with it, concentrate it, build it, allow it to evolve. So the yogis tell us that when we've collected enough prana internally, these experiences of seeing movements of energy, patterns, sounds, and images will arise automatically as a sensing, a seeing, or a feeling. Obviously, this isn't an overnight practice or process, and it takes time and diligence. In other words, practice. So in the beginning, it's possible that the process may seem too complex, and instead of being a peaceful experience, it becomes the opposite. So this is part of the purification process. And I know that from running yoga teacher trainings, I know that everyone starts off, yay, oh, I'm so excited. And then it starts to become, oh my God, as they have like dark night of the soul times, and there's stuff coming up for them, and they're going, I thought this was supposed to be fun. Well, it's just part of the process. Stuff come up for you, and it's about transmuting it so then you can move to the other side. So it does tend to be everyone that goes through, a teacher training, especially when you're around each other. Unfortunately, because you're online, if you do have moments when you're feeling things are just coming up for you and you need to speak, you can arrange a video call with me, and I can help speak you through. We've all in that process. I would say most of my trainees, it's a normal thing to have that thing where it's like, what on earth, and it's a purification process, not necessarily just physical. You are going through your stuff, and it's important. So you have that like realization normally halfway through the course that it's not as easy as you thought it was going to be. There's more to it. There's more depth to it, and you come out the other side. There's more dimensions to it, and it's more real. Okay, so difficulty in the case of the purification process, it means there's a gap between where we are, so what our mind is currently capable of, and the state we're seeking to reveal. So this is the yantra. So what's the solution? Just keep practicing. Don't avoid it. Keep practicing. Things come up for you. Keep practicing. Don't stay away. Don't step off your mat. Oh, that was too much. Just keep practicing. bring back in stability, it'll transmute things. So particularly in the beginning stages of opening the third eye or collecting prana in the midbrain, our intention plays a vital role. And I reiterate this all the time as well. Really, the intention of where you put the prana is, and what you're doing with the prana is so important. So intention is not synonymous with visualize something. Intention is more about creating and holding the space for experiences to reveal themselves in their own time without any need, without any push or neediness for something to happen. It's an active form of patience. It's allowing everything to unfold, effortless effort. So it's less important that the meditation process itself is peaceful. It's far more important that life beyond the mat becomes more peaceful and begins to expand. Your meditation, sometimes you'll be sit down, oh my goodness, but actually if you keep at it, life will become more peaceful, and you will become more of yourself, or be more accepting of yourself. The more accepting of yourself, the more accepting you are of others. You find, I know that the way of understanding my own mother, she's a really judgy person. I realize now that judging people is a sign that you're not happy within your own self. So instead of worrying about judgy people, just keep working on yourself. And, you find that by being so accepting of yourself, why would you want to judge others? It's their stuff. It's up to them to do their thing. And the more you meditate, the more, you come to that realization that just keep working on yourself, and other people's stuff, you don't need to allow it to affect you. So in other words, judge the efficacy, I'm rubbish at trying to say things sometimes, efficacy of your meditation practice by not what's happening in the meditation, but by whether you're experiencing more joy, less fear, and more capacity to achieve your dharmic goals in life. So that is the real sign of progress in your meditation. Okay, so it's heavy stuff we've been speaking about, meditation, but I think meditation, well, as you know from me speaking about the 8 limbs, and you'll know that, as you work through the 8 limbs meditation, the reason that we practice asana is so that we can meditate better. Meditation is our way, the key to everything. But, as yoga teachers, we need to know the asanas. So obviously this afternoon, we're going to go more into the teaching side of things and the asana side of things. Today, this morning, we did our practice and we worked with it, meditation, and we've speaking about the theory of meditation. We're going to go deeper with how to teach later on this afternoon. So let's see if we can, so I've got let's see what I've got here. We've spoken about mantras. We spoke about kind of sequencing. Let's, so while I'm saying that we're going to go into teaching, let's just touch upon what we would do for the science of hatha yoga. Yeah. So if you get, hopefully you've got a pen and a piece of paper here. So let's summarize the stages of traditional hatha yoga. Seeing as I'm getting a little bit deep with the meditation thing, let's speak about the science of hatha yoga, and then we can speak about properly sequencing classes. Just a second, let somebody at my door. It's all kicking off. Well, sorry guys, I just got flowers. So, yeah, Hopefully the delivery driver didn't have COVID. Well, should I leave it for 48 hours, Haley? Okay, so let's, before we break up for lunch, we've got like we've got 50 minutes or so. So let's just go through there's 7 stages of traditional hatha yoga, and I just find this really interesting. So it's not something that you need to know, but I think if I teach you it and you know it and it resonates with you, it's going to help with your teaching and your own practice too. So the first stage is purification. So this is the focus on your health, and it's about detoxing the body through diet, purification techniques, and asana. So Ayurveda plays a big role in bringing the body back into balance. So it's a healthy system is best able to receive the results of the practice. So once we've purified, then we move on to the second stage, which is strengthening. So the focus is on empowerment, both of the body and of the mind. So mentally, it's about developing will and discipline. And physically, with the asana, it's about strengthening the body and the core muscles supporting the spine, particularly the lower back and the abdominal area. Then we move into the third stage, which is the calming stage. So this is the moon stage. Remember, we first started speaking about the moon stage, always taking the moon with you. So focus is primarily on the mind and making it calm. So the stilling of the lake of the mind, so we can see the distorted vision of reality and also come to understand what is on the lake bed, creating the ripples in the first place. So the key is gaining insight into the nature of your mind. So it requires a conscious and willful decision to slow the practice down and orient our attention inwards. So the fourth stage is the stability. So this is still moon stage. So the focus is on stabilizing our calmness. It's about giving our practice legacy so we don't lose the connection to our practice at the first sight of challenge and disruption. So we spoke about that with meditation. You have to keep with it because things are going to come up for you. So asana, pranayama, meditation are used for cultivating both mental and physical stability and ease. So it's associated with the parasympathetic nervous system and the right hemisphere of the brain. So once you've stabilized and you've become calm, you move into the fifth stage, which is the dawning of higher perception. This is the sun stage. So prana samvedana means becoming more sensitized to prana, life force. So today's practice, I would say we were more with the sun than the moon. So it deals with the awakening of our higher senses. So the key to this is prana dharana, and we really worked with prana dharana today. We really harnessed prana in our bodies. So it's the development of the sixth chakra, which acts as a pranic control tower, allowing us to sense, see, and feel the energetic world. So coming to understand through experience that we're a vessel of energy. And remember that this vessel leaks. So here we can use kumbhaka and bandhas to come into play to build and contain prana. So in our practice today, we were working with, we worked with kumbhaka, with Nadi Shodhana. Remember, inhale for, well, I was doing 6 and 12, but just in case you felt that, you know, sometimes you have a panicky feeling, we were doing the ratio of 1, 2, 2. So inhale to 4, exhale for 4, and hold for, no, exhale for 8, hold for 8. And we were, when we were doing our Kundalini Kriyas, sometimes we were holding the breath, engaging root lock, allowing the prana to develop. That's working, that's really working with prana dharana. So the sixth stage is expansion. This is the still part of the sun. So this is intensifying our connection to prana, directing prana, using mudras and kriya meditations to direct the energy and move towards the experience of the nada. So we did this in our meditation practice, we're in our sun. And then the seventh, the last stage of hatha yoga, illumination, fire. So focus is on Kundalini, our dormant spiritual potential. And in order to experience life as sacred, which is the fire, we must first awaken our own inner fire. So the key piece is activating the navel center through directing Pranvayu and Apanavayu towards Manipura chakra and merging mind and energy into the spine. Nada, merging into the world of vibration, is the result. So remember, in our practice today, we came into the plank pose and we merged Pranvayu and Apanavayu towards Manipura chakra. We inhale, take the breath down to behind the navel. We exhale, bring the energy up to behind the navel. So this was working with the fire practice. So today's practice, we really worked through the whole of the 7 stages of Tantric Hatha Yoga. So Hatha Yoga is the inner fusion of Chitta, which is moon, and Prana, sun, within the navel to melt limitations, enliven Kundalini, and activate Sushumna, which is the fire. Okay, so when we're practicing yoga, we need to consider these following questions. Do we want to be flexible, or do we want to be free? So, interesting concept. This critical ask is an invitation to a state shift from a yoga student to a yogi, and the first step on the long sacred road to love, freedom, and self-realization. So according to the tradition, the cultivation of stability is paramount when it comes to our practice, both on and off the mat. And the Yoga Sutras, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the Garanta Samhita, and other ancient texts, each in their own way state that nothing comes close to rivaling stability when it comes to fundamental significance. So each text in its own way claims that it isn't until body and mind have been made steady that the real world of yoga opens up to us. Why? Because stability is the precursor to self-knowledge, and self-knowledge is the doorway to self-love. Love indeed exists at the deepest level of our being, yet in order to access its true essence, we must first sift through the more superficial layers of personality. And only then can we understand what stands in the way of a true expression of love and move beyond it. So without self-knowledge, real self-love cannot occur. Without stability, self-knowledge is out of reach. So the idea that yoga is about flexibility is a new one. It's a misunderstanding birthed by modern minds connected to legs underneath coffee tables, nervously twitching, minds that are addicted to scrolling and smartphones, minds that find solace in yoga practice, that distract these same minds from looking at how distracted they truly are. So don't buy into the modern hype, yoga hype. Yoga begins when we slow down, get steady, and deal with what needs to be dealt with, namely ourselves. Then once the fluctuations of the mind have ceased, we can glimpse that aspect of self that exists beyond the mind and beyond all things that change. So here we can sit in remembrance of our true nature, whose home, according to the scriptures, is the almond-sized flame within the heart called the Vishaktyottar, the light that allows no suffering to enter. Love is our nature. Love is the target. Slowing down is the path. The system has been laid out for thousands of years, and it's a shame that so few yogis nowadays follow it, instead choosing hectic, fast-paced, overstimulating practices over those that promote stability. Firsthand, the devastation caused by an agitated mind amplified by dynamic heating practice it can be like moving through your practice without stilling the mind. You can acerbate the prana and direct it in a way that's not good for you. You can experience burnout. So we're all here with a grand spiritual purpose to live out, and the tradition is clear on that. And also every person's mission set in motion by the indestructible essence of our own pure nature, is unique. So this being the case, how could all yoga practices suit all people all the time? So this is not good science, and to be clear, yoga is a science, the science of awakening, and it's best we don't water it down. So in this sticky dimension of manifest reality, although we're all unique, we're still subject to the same universal laws that govern the turnings of our lives. One of these laws is the law of alternation, which we spoke about, which states that everything we do, say, eat, believe, think, surround ourselves with, and expose ourselves to, including other people, will affect us, because the energies that make up our being are likewise found in everything else. Life is frequency, and as such in constant flux depending upon surrounding vibrations. Negative words, dense, lifeless foods, dark thoughts and habits will become us. They will not touch the truth of who we are, but they will become our conditional experience nonetheless. Similarly, fast-paced lives and habits will sculpt an agitated nervous system and a mind that will never find the peace afforded by the silence of meditation. So it can be no other way. Mental clarity stems from clear choices, including practices that lead us towards meditation, which is considered the direct path to self-realization. There's another universal law called the law of continuity, which can be summed up by the age-old axiom, like attracts like. Whichever attribute is more dominant within us, be it clarity, momentum, or inertia, it will continue to be reflected in the things, people, and choices that arrive within our personal orbit. If we're out of balance, then we'll be drawn to the things that keep us out of balance, including food, people, practices, environments, professions, and partners. The law of continuity states that the reverse is also true. Being in balance inspires us to make choices that keep us in balance. The issue is that the majority of us do not know or want to accept that we're out of balance. So most of the time, we know what we want, but not what we need. So here is the inconvenient truth. The majority of modern yogis are rajasic in nature, meaning overstimulated, and therefore would benefit from most slower practices rather than the ones that they likely do. The vast ocean of modern vinyasa and power yogas is evidence of an unstable and unbalanced yoga culture. The absence of meditation beyond a token gesture in daily drop-in classes only further highlights this point. The upside of our current condition, however, is that we have energy and therefore are at least up for doing the work. So the will is there, just not the knowledge. Nor are the teachers that are willing to stand up and give students what they need, not what they want. Being a yoga teacher is a big commitment. So it's not about making friends or being popular. It's about service, and it's about serving the core of people, not the condition. The journey by necessity must be slow-paced and steady. So we humbly yet tenaciously address the chaotic state of our practices and minds and choose freedom over flexibility, stability over style, actual work over working out, then we will arrive back to ourselves, a self that's primed for love because it is love. Love is our nature, yet to touch it we need to do less, not more. Don't take my word for it, though, that's not how it works. Put down your phone, let go of what you think you know about yoga based on what Instagram tells you. Get up earlier than you have been and steady yourself before the sun rises, and sit still and remember yourself, the real self. The invitation has been there all along. Slow down, stabilize the moon, steady the mind that phases and fluxes so that the bright light of your own soul can finally shine through you into your life. So on that note, I think that's a nice way to end this morning's lecture. Okay, I'm going to take off the card now.